I do have some experience in class actions, and the genesis of that is actually a funny story. People are probably all too familiar with the red light camera tickets that have been issued throughout the country, and we started handling those cases back in 2009, myself and Dave Kerner, one of the attorneys here, and we litigated 26 individual class actions throughout the state of Florida. We actually won on the underlying case regarding them being unconstitutional. It went all the way up to the Supreme Court of Florida, and we won there as well. And 9 years later, we are still working and fighting to try and get refunds for the people who were issued those tickets prior to the enactment of the Mark Wendell Act. So essentially, a lot of the things we alleged in those class actions, they made it a vicarious offense. So the owner got the ticket, not the driver. The fine schedule, the different standards of proof that would apply, were completely contrasting with other parts of the state, which violated the laws that it's the Uniform Traffic Code. So if I blow a red light in Tallahassee or Miami, everything should be the same as far as the legal standard, the penalties, the way to prove it, where the money goes, how much money. And after our case, we actually were cited in the law. They cited our lawsuits saying, you know, these are some of the areas where they're contradictory and conflicting with each other, and now it's more uniform. So we're still fighting those. We're hopeful. We actually just petitioned the Supreme Court to take up our request for the refunds, and hopefully we'll be successful on those. We have some other ones. We filed one against General Motors. They created a car called the Corvette Z06 back in 2015, and they promoted and advertised it as the greatest track Corvette of all time. That is true for about 4 or 5 laps. And then after that, because of a design defect they have in the engine system, the cars overheat and go into limp mode, where there's a massive loss of power, which on a racetrack is really not a good thing. It's not a good thing on the road as well. And it's a clear design defect. They didn't have enough airflow going into the engine. They put a giant engine in this small engine bay that's encased in fiberglass, which is not really conducive to expelling heat. And they put a supercharger on the car, and it's a small one. It's a 1.7 liter supercharger. Well, the smaller ones spin faster, which creates more heat, instead of going with a bigger supercharger. So the airflow coming in isn't enough. The air is contained and captured in the area, and the air coming out is not enough. And it created a massive deficit for people who wanted performance that was represented and guaranteed from Chevrolet. So that case is pending up in Michigan, and we've been involved in that for about 1.5 years. And we like those cases. I mean, when you have a big corporation that's not willing to admit, hey, we made a mistake here. And we think Chevy really did, because they came out with that exact engine in the Camaro ZL1. After that ZL1 has 13 intercoolers. And to give you some perspective, a Bugatti Veyron only has 11. So if ever there was a case where you guys realized that your intercooling system really wasn't satisfactory for the product you made, there it is. And yet, despite our protestations, they haven't done a recall. They haven't offered any kind of an aftermarket fix for people who have this car. And as somebody who likes to race cars myself, I know a lot of frustrated people with that. So we're hoping eventually GM will do the right thing by then.